You all for coming early on a Friday morning to learn about something. I feel like I've sort of become an evangelist for text message-based response systems this year after I use them in a course that we do and have used them at conferences, and they've really been a wonderful addition to a lot of things. So if you're updating your Facebook status, you're now at Clicking Without Clickers, and what we're going to try to do today is several things. We're going to acquaint those of you who have never heard of text message-based audience response systems with what they are. We're going to examine several of the vendors who provide this service so you can choose the one that works for you. We're going to explore one system in detail. It's the one I work with most, so I know it the best. You experiment with text message-based responses, either through your cell phone or if you've got a laptop that's Wi-Fi connected, you could do that. We'll be setting up some polls at the end of the presentation. I'll do one here with your suggestions, and then if you do also have a laptop with you that's Wi-Fi based, we'll do some experiments that you can set up yourself. Well, first of all, why text message-based response systems? Clickers or audience-based, conference-based response systems are wonderful things, especially when you've got large groups that you want to engage more actively into your presentation, have people not just passively listening but actively learning. They can give both you and your students instant feedback so that they know exactly how well they're doing and you know how well you're doing. Actually, and pedagogically they're wonderful because if you're covering a concept and you give them a little test question on the concept, you realize everyone has mastered it already, you can go on to the next point, and you don't bore people by constantly repeating something that they already know. On the other hand, if you explain a concept and they don't understand it, you know you need to go back to it and elaborate a little bit further. You can use them to take attendance, so especially in large audiences, large classrooms, have to waste a lot of time taking attendance or tie up your teaching assistant, and you can use them for quizzes, even for pop quizzes. If people don't seem to be understanding something, you can invent a quiz right on the spot and do it. But traditional response systems have a whole lot of disadvantages as well. There are all of these competing systems, and if you buy into one, another professor buys into another, or a different campus buys into another, they're not always compatible. And then you've got two unpleasant choices. You can either run the system yourself and buy all the clickers, or have your department buy it, or your campus buy it, and that's really hard because you've got to move this stuff around in very large classes of 200 or 300. It's almost impossible to do that. Or you have the students buy the clickers, and then there's the problem of if they've got multiple classes with different systems, then they have multiple clickers, and you know they're going to forget them in their room, and they're not going to have them, or if they do have them, the battery is going to be dead. There's going to be all sorts of problems. They're also extremely expensive systems. And the one thing I can count on is that if you buy a traditional clicker system, within 3 days a better system is going to come out, updated constantly. And they run usually on two platforms, but some only run on one platform. I'm a Mac user, and so I'll get pulled into a clicker system. Oh, that's great. Oh, it's only PC. And so I can't use that. So there are a lot of problems with traditional clickers. The alternative is to use cell phones or laptops as the system for the clickers. Almost every student today has one of them or both of them. And nearly every student is going to bring them to class fully charged, fully maintained, because their lives depend upon these things. And we always have that, checking their text messages in class or checking their Facebook status on their laptops. You can use this to sort of co-opt the technology they're going to have in front of them anyway to pull them over from the light of academics from the dark side. Yeah, try doing that in PowerPoint. Okay, so what is a text message-based response system, and how do they work? Well, let's see one. All right, I'm going to take a little poll, and I'm going to maximize this just so that everyone can. Oops. Hold it. 1 second. There we go. All right. What I want you to do is take out your cell phone, and we're going to text a keyword to number 37607. Or if you'd rather use your laptop and save your cell phone messages, you can either tweet at a poll and the keyword I'm going to give you, or you can submit this keyword by going to the website pollev.com. All right, so if you've been at FAU from 0 to 5 years, you type the word not long. And remember, there's no space between those words, not long altogether. If you've been here for 6 to 10, you type in the expression bit longer. If you've been here for 11 to 15 years, you type in decade plus. Remember, no spaces in any of this. 16 to 20, you type in almost 2 for almost 2 decades. And more than 20 years, you type in the expression way long. So if you'll do that, so what you're doing is you're typing this keyword to number 37607. So we've got one person who's been here for a decade or more, one person who's relatively new, more people who are not here long. All right. So just number 37607, text one of these expressions to it. There we go. Almost 2 decades for a couple people, a bit longer for some. Anyone going to answer who hasn't yet? All right, I'll give you a little bit longer. And when you use these in class, this or something like this will probably happen on the first day. People, tend to have to figure it out at first, but once they do it, and most of our students, if they're traditional age students, will figure it out immediately. But most people, once they use it, it becomes extremely easy, and you can use it from that point on. All right, so who hasn't responded yet? Who wants to? And while we're waiting, what you see is basically you get the same sort of information you get from a clicker system, but now people don't have to have clickers, they don't have to buy into the system, the expense is low. This runs through a website, so as they make updates to the technology, it'll be updated automatically. I don't have to buy anything, it'll just be updated automatically for me. All right. So if you were doing a presentation where it was important for you to know how long people worked in the environment because you wanted to do a salary study or an equity study or something like that, you could ask this sort of poll and you'd get that instant information. So basically, that's how text message-based systems work at their easiest level. And we'll take a look at a few ways that we can use this information in just a moment. All right, so everyone responded? Great. Let's go back to the presentation. I like, see, and then that's really nice because you've got this clear pattern developing. Obviously, people who come to technology showcases, there is a negative relationship with how long you've been at the institution. So. All right, so, yes, please. That means that you don't have a text message account on your phone. Because usually you get that message if your cell phone does not have text message.
What we're going to do with those students who get that far.
Well, the funny thing is, and I'll tell you this from having used this for a year now, it's always the adults in the room who get that message. I have never had a student, I've got text messages, when I go to I get it a lot. And so pull out your laptop and do it. So it tends not to happen very much. All right, so we're going to look at 3 providers of this system. Polleverywhere.com, which we were just using, McClick, Let's Go Vote, and see a little bit of the similarities and differences of these 3 systems. So let's take a look at, first of all, polleverywhere.com. A little bit smaller. All right, so there's the website. If you go to the website and you want to find out about it, we're going to end up, and you'll notice that pricing tab, take the tour, some help and frequently asked questions, and then because I belong to this, or I have an account on this website, you'll notice my polls and log up show at the top. But what I want to take a look at here is pricing. When you click on pricing, here's the first thing that should be interesting. There are free accounts. In other words, you can start using this and experiment with this, and it doesn't cost you a cent. You can get a free account through Poll Everywhere that you might want to try in a smaller class of 40 students or less, or at a conference, and just see if it's going to be something that works for you. You'll notice that after that, though, the prices start to go up a little bit precipitously, $15 a month, $65, all the way up to $1,400 a month. So pretty expensive. And the other problem is that you want to use, as we'll see later, custom keywords and response segmentation, some features we'll look at in a bit. Those are really valuable, especially in educational settings, and you only get those with the very expensive accounts. But if you look at the top, you'll notice it says business and nonprofit plans, K-12 plans, higher ed plans. So let's look at the higher ed plans, and you'll notice there are two choices here. So you've basically got a choice now. You can either have the student pay to use the system, build it into a course fee. It's $14 a year, $7 a semester, not high. Or you can pay, or have your department pay, or your college pay, $399 a semester. And I've opted for this because it's down for my students. It's really sort of my thing that I use. I know that several other faculty members in my college are not going to be that interested. So it makes sense for me to pay the one charge, and then the students don't have to pay anything. But you'll notice that all higher education plans include response moderation. So if you want to do something where students can enter words, and we'll see one of those surveys in a bit, you can have them come to you first so you can clear out all the language you don't want to show up in public. You can do segmentation reporting, that's response segmentation that we'll see in a bit. Grading and reporting, so you can give quizzes, you can take attendance. All of the higher education plans use that as features that they have. So that's Poll Everywhere. The next system we're going to take a look at is McClick. The website is actually mcclickonline.com. Here again, if we look at pricing, you notice that mcclick.com is a rather expensive system. There's a one-time setup fee no matter what type of account that you have, and even for 50 participants a month, it's $40 a month, or for $50 a year. Teaching your classes, the cost becomes quite high indeed. All right, so McClick has some nice features. You can do pie charts in addition to bar graphs. It has that nearly expensive system, and it doesn't have the free account you can get for 40 accounts or less. All right. The final system we're going to take a look at is Let's Go Vote. It also has a free option, but you'll notice it's a free trial. It expires after a time. So you can experiment with it, see if you like it, but it doesn't go on forever. Their pricing is actually the least, depending upon what you do, of all of the systems that we see. For instance, if just for yourself you want an account, for 12 months it's only $281 a year, and that's less than Poll Everywhere. I find that most limited of the systems, because I like to do some of these things that we'll see in a moment. This system doesn't let you do that. So for all of those reasons, that's why I tend to use polleverywhere.com. All right, so I've been mentioning response segmentation and how useful it is. Here's the result of the survey that we just took. You know, I asked you how many years you worked at FAU, and you've all answered 0 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 was more than 20. Suppose I wanted to do a study, and I wanted to study the correlation between how satisfied you were with your job and how many years you worked at FAU. Now I'd like you to pull out your cell phone or laptop again. Once again, you're going to text keyword to 37607. But if you're really satisfied, if you just love your job, just can't get enough of it, you type in the words very high together. If you like your job, you type in just high. If you neither like it nor dislike it, you type in the word middling. If your satisfaction is low, you type just low. And if you really can't stand your job, you type in very low. And you'll see that you get an indication of how many people fall into each one of those categories per response. And that's a really useful feature. And it's the feature that polleverywhere.com has, and it's the one that's sold me on this system because it's something I like to do a lot of, to see how one type of response relates to another for surveys in class and opinions and things of that nature. All right, so everyone typing in their job satisfaction. Now, the interesting thing about this is I've set this poll up to be anonymous because I want you to be able to respond as freely as you like. If you really hate your job, I don't want you to think, oh, that's somewhere. So I can set this up to be anonymous. On the other hand, for certain questions that I want to ask my students in class, I don't want it to be anonymous. I want to know if they were there that day. I want to know their answers on questions. So I can set it up to be non-anonymous, and I can get their cell phone numbers, and if I have a list of those, it will tell me these are the people who responded, these are the people who were there, and so on. All right. So what we're seeing is that, let's see, people's satisfaction tend to be high if they just got here, or if they went through a trouble period and finally stuck it out for 11 to 15 years and then left right after that. Yeah?
Just out of curiosity then, if you, I noticed we just did the first set,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're doing a follow-up question like you're doing right now. If that number, those numbers do not match though, because maybe people did vote the first time and didn't the second, or vice versa, is it going to adjust it accordingly?
Yes, this did not respond. You will see that up there. So, for instance, these people did not respond to the first poll, but they're responding now, and you can tell that. The reverse is probably not as convenient. I only use this when I tend to do questions almost sequentially. If you were to do this one day and then 3 weeks later go back to the question, you'd probably have more of that problem. So from that perspective, it's not as good a feature as if you're doing multiple questions on the same day. In fact, and every time I've done this in a class, it's been a question sort of at the beginning of the class, and then 15 minutes later, we want to do something else that builds on that. And that tends to obviate that problem. But you're right, that could well be an issue. So that's response segmentation. It kind of gets you a little crude insight into correlation. Yeah.
I just deleted my tweet.
Mm-hmm.
See if it changed, and it didn't. So I guess if you make a mistake or something.
Once you tweet, you've tweeted forever. Now, you as a professor can set that up. I can set it up when I set up the poll, and we'll see this in a moment, so that you can respond as many times as you want. You can correct your response, or once you've responded, it's locked in and you're there forever. A lot of the polls I've set up for this demonstration, I've set it up so that it's one answer a piece, because when you're demonstrating this, what people like to do is they go, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's see what happens when I answer this way. And so you get 3 or 4 answers, but you can actually set it up so that if you want a person to be able to correct or change your answer, you can do that. Okay. Open-ended questions. All right, so far we've been taking a look at multiple choice questions or polling. You can also do some interesting things with open-ended questions. So here's an example of an open-ended question. I want you to think of all the words that come to your mind when you think of text message-based polling. It could be great, exciting. It could be, oh, something I'll never use, or something like that. A text, all of those words, what you do is you, again, text to number 37607. Begin your message with the word polling, so it knows what survey to put them into, and then write as many words as you want. And for this exercise, since we're a smallish to medium-sized crowd, I would appreciate it if you would type just as many words as you can think of, because we'll get a better if you type 5 or 10 words apiece than if you just type 2 or 3. All right, so one person's writing very cool. Yes?
Does it have to be capitalized?
No, it doesn't.
How will it know when, like for instance, that very cool, that's a 2-word response. And if you have like multiple ones on top of each other, is it going to separate it as one being view and one being...
No, well, when we do the parsing in a bit, yeah, it will. So, if, for instance, if you, it's probably if you want to get a series of adjectives or something that you want to be able to do something with, it's probably best to say, respond multiple times rather than put them all in one message. For the purposes of our demonstration, it really doesn't matter. So that if you want to throw all your words into one message, it's okay. All right. Just keep doing that until we get a whole bunch of words up there. In fact, I can play too. Did you have polling first? Polling first? Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, it probably is. Knowing him, it's almost certainly swear words.
Could not be found. Make sure you enter the keyword correctly and try again.
That's really strange. So yeah, apparently Big Brother is controlling the system because they don't want you to say it's expensive. Let me try that to see if to see if it'll take expensive from me. I just got a message when I typed in my word saying, oh, it's going to get fun now. All right, let's try expensive. Oh, I have to put polling in front of it. I almost did that wrong. Yeah, I just, it just doesn't like your use of the word expensive. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to type polling, Polling. Awesome. The interesting thing, too, is, autocorrect will sometimes change the responses to things they don't want. All right, so my awesome showed up. Well, that's why you can set it up to be moderated. For this sort of thing, if you want to moderate it, it's best to do it when they're not in class, have them text the things, moderate it, and then bring the responses to class. Because, you could get into, let's see, what's an example of a word? I might not. It liked it for me. It even liked costly from someone else. And you are typing polling before it.
No, I'm just doing text polling. I don't do it.
No, even in text.
In text, you have and then the word expensive. Yeah. Because that's the only way it knows which survey to plug these into. For the other ones where I had individual keywords like just hi, I own that keyword. So anytime somebody answers just hi, it will go to that survey. One of the things that is interesting is a presentation that communication styles and how they work in departments and things, the net and so on. And one of these communication styles is called I. When you write it all together, it comes out they. And every time I went to that survey, I had 652 answers, the why. And I thought, this is so strange. And people were doing the same thing, forgetting to put the keyword in and would write a response like, they ought to do this. And so it was all showing up on my poll. So yes, you put in the word polling and then the responses, and they should show up. So everyone who's wanted to try that has tried it or not? More? Yes. The responses can be saved. You can set it up to save it. Not only from this poll, but I can clear these out, do another poll, and it can save those. So if you want to do the sort of survey that over time you're building up answers, compare this year's class to last year's class, you can do all of that. All right. More answers you want to type in? I want to do something with these. Oh, the other thing you might notice is that how these polls are showing up is I'm running this presentation in Keynote. If you run Keynote on a Mac or if you run PowerPoint on a PC, there is an option where you can just plug it right into your slide and it'll pull that up automatically. You don't have to go to the website, it will find it. And you'll notice how I phrase that. I have discovered that if you run PowerPoint on a Mac, that just doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work consistently. That was one of the things that finally closed the door for me and said, I'm doing everything in Keynote from now on because it just works so much better. All right, our last responses? I'll give you like 10 more seconds. Dun, 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 dun. Keynote works with the Mac, PowerPoint works with PCs, and both the old version of PowerPoint and the new version of PowerPoint work fine with it. All right, so if I do that and I go to my browser now, all right, I've pulled up this page on my browser because you have to go to the website to do this. And I'll point out a few things before we go there. You'll notice this thing where it says download a slide. That's what you click on to get it either into Keynote or PowerPoint because you can kind of recognize that icon there. There's also a suggestion box there. That determines how people can respond. So if you only want text messages or only want Wi-Fi or only want a tweet, you can do that. But the neat thing about this is you'll notice, oh, there's a response history that you were asking about, Joanne, the moderation if I want to watch the words, and this thing, word cloud. All right, so if you click on word cloud, all right, there's all your words. Click on that once, copy it, go to any word cloud service you like, put that on, paste it. and you can get a word cloud. So if you're doing the sort of thing that's an open response and you want to see which were the common responses, this will do it automatically. Obviously, the word great was the most commonly used word in your responses. The word expensive, because we were trying with it, that came out to sort of engaging. So the larger the word, the more common the response was, and you can use that to lead discussions. In Wordle, which is the word I use, you have a lot of options for that too. You can make all the words come out horizontal, or half and half, horizontal and vertical. Let's see, let's change the colors. All right, so whatever you want to do that works for your class or works for the color scheme, if you want to take a picture of that and put it on a website, there are a lot of options that you have for that too. So with the open-ended response, you've got this word cloud feature, which I find is really good for prompting the next discussion. Now, why did so many people say that they thought that ancient Greek philosophy was this, or whatever it is that you're talking about? All right, so that's open-end responses. All right, so we are there. Design flexibility. I've been using the sort of default setting because, first of all, it works very well with FAU colors. The default setting is blue on a white background. You can put in a logo if you want, the FAU logo. It works very well, but you don't have to restrict yourself to that system. You've got all sorts of colors to play with. Let's do another poll now. My favorite polls. What phrase in FAU's alma mater do you find the strangest? I cleaned that up. There were other administrators in the room. So if you find the phrase Gulf Stream breezes blowing because the Gulf Stream is underwater and Gulf Stream breezes don't blow, type in the word Gulf Stream altogether. If you find the meaning of the past that is the strangest, you type in past gone. If you find where nature beams with pleasant weather, to be the strangest place, type in pleasant weather altogether. If you don't like we strive to learn to work together, type in strive. Or if you really love all the wording of the current alma mater, you type in like them all. Or if you feel like going shopping, you can also type that as like the mall, which works the same way. All right, so, ooh, Gulfstream is in the lead. Oh, it's like a horse race now. And Gulfstream's pulling ahead, way ahead. That's interesting because, you see, if I would have guessed it, I would have thought the biggest phrase that people kind of chuckle over, because I kind of watch at graduation, is the past that is gone. But scientists in particular don't tend to like the Gulf Stream breezes. But everyone's okay with nature beaming with pleasant weather. That's good. Yes, because I locked you out. Yeah. I should have had an option saying they're all stupid, but, oh, sorry, I use the other word I usually use in this survey. Hate them all, yes. Have contempt for them all. While you're still answering.
It's actually saying that we received two responses, but you have to put in the keyword and you have to put the phrase, right?
No, you don't type in keyword. You just type in, for anything that is a multiple choice survey, it's only the expression. It's only the open-ended surveys where they have to call the survey something, because otherwise it wouldn't know which open-ended survey it was. And I'll show you in a bit how I restrict the words like Gulf Stream, past gone, pleasant weather, only to my surveys. So that, for instance, if now somebody's doing a course at the University of California, Chico, and one of the answers for their science question is Gulf Stream, they can't use that because I've already frozen that forever and ever and ever as long as I have an account. All right, top thing there is visual settings. So there you see an appearance. We can do a slate background, yellow if you like that. Here's sort of the plain background, but with some cables at the bottom. This is the one you've seen before, the clean background. I usually just tend to use this. It defaults to that. And second of all, as I said, with FAU's colors, if you use an FAU PowerPoint or FAU Keynote background, it works really well. Or you can do this and change all the colors however you want. Let's see what else we got here. Diagonal lines, if for some reason that appeals to you. And then if you still don't have all the options you want, you'll notice you can change the text color, change the box color, change the logo. You can change the orientation of the lines. If you want them to go sideways or you want them to go vertically, you have an option for that. You can stop the poll whenever you like. So there are a lot of different things. You can also change the color of the instructions, and that's how you change the chart types. A lot of different options to make sure that it's exactly the poll appearance that you want.
So there it said segment responses, so you can segment on the fly?
Yes, if you have a higher education account. And I strongly urge people, if they're going to do this, I mean, try it with a free account. But if you do, use the higher education account, because those things like response segmentation that you may not think you're going to use, they are the most valuable features, I think. All right, here's the thing that I find really, really useful for this. I used to ask opinion questions in class, sometimes about really controversial items. So let's take one of those controversial topics that we have now. If I say to a group of class, all right, how many people think that all abortion should be permitted? How many people think that there's peer pressure in that room? Because you start raising your hand and you start looking around. All right, if you set up an anonymous survey like this and you say, now, these answers are not recorded, just tell me what you really think, you get a much better reflection of the opinions of your class, because it's all discrete. You can do the survey if you want. It's just going to give us lines again. But when you're dealing with highly controversial topics, when you want candid responses, this is infinitely better than using a system where there's a show of hands or moving to different sides of the rooms or whatever. So a situation like this, if you've got national data, you can compare. You know, maybe people who are students in college have different responses than people do across the country. So having that sort of information is great. And as you see, there's no way anyone in the room can tell which way you answered. All we know is the aggregated data. So the two best features, I think, of text message-based polling is, first of all, response segmentation, and second of all, the ability to set it for anonymous and to get candid responses. Yes.
Are you able to not show as the results?
Yes, you can also do that. There is one feature, if I can go back to my website for a second. And I'll have to find it. Okay, let's pull up a question that I actually used in class. All right, this one. Which of the following scientific theories deals with qualitative method? Over in, let's see, I'm going to have to find it because I use it somewhat rarely. All right, there we go. And there you see, that's where you set up how many times they can answer. But you can also have it grade incoming responses. In other words, if this is a quiz question, I don't want you to see the answers until they come in. So by checking that box, it keeps the responses secret. And then, where is it? I can say, all right, the correct answer is mark this is correct, because that was done by qualitative methods. Boom. And then you can pull up the answer at the end and you say, all right, this is the correct answer. 66% of you got it right, or not. You can just see the answers yourself and use that as a quiz question. So there is the possibility of not having the answers show as you do. For opinion questions and for controversial questions, I like to have that instant response, because that really excites classes, especially if they're larger classes. People get really pulled, and they forget to text their friends then, because they're involved in in engaging in the, all right, so, candid responses. All right, let's go to the last part now. Oh yes, we got lots of time. Let's try making a poll. So I want you to help me make a poll. We're going to create something from scratch. All right, so I go into my polls, as I say, because I have an account, create new poll. All right, so what do you want to do? You want to do an open-ended question? You want to do a multiple choice question? Up to you. Just shout something out. I don't care. Multiple choice. All right. What's a good multiple choice question you want to ask? Early in the morning, isn't it? Anything going on in the news? Anything going on? What? All right. What made you come to this event? All right, so if we do that, you type in the question, and then you type in the food, the door prizes, I had to come, I didn't want to go to work.
He's actually thought about these.
All right. What other responses might you want to see? Oh, that's crazy talk, man. And something. All right. Other responses? All of the above. Oh, or none of the above. Now we got a bunch of responses, so our typing is going to be pretty small. I'll have to maximize it.
Now, I'm curious then, when you do a multiple choice, can you have multiple selection? In other words,
Yes.
they choose both A
Yes.
and B?
Yes, you can do that. All right, so then to set up the poll, the first, all right, and so it gives me all of these choices. I get to review it. What made you want to come to this event? If you I had to come, I didn't want to go to work, to learn something, all of the above, none of the above. And if I want to do more, I can add answers, or I can just continue and generate the poll. And the poll just, all right, there it is. Now, you'll notice what happens first, and let me get this a little bit larger. Oops. All right, that's how a poll looks like raw. If you have a free account or those lower cost business accounts, that's all you can do. So you have to say to the class, all right, if you want to respond the food, you type the number 442036 in. All right. So it gives you these randomly generated numbers. Fortunately, they're in a series, but you can see the problem with this. You know, you type one digit wrong, and in a poll where you can only answer once, boom, you're locked into that answer, and if it's a quiz, that's especially bad. So for the higher education accounts, one of the things you get to do is to reserve your keywords. All right, so if I want to reserve the keywords, and let's just try the food first. All right, so you'll notice that every time you type up to 3 letters, it says it's too short, and it checks the availability. Oh, it is taken. I mean, someone else has done a survey that the response to the food was already taken. So I can't take that word. And all of my surveys that you saw before, like I said, I own those words, and anyone else who tries to claim them will do this too. So let's just try.
As this gets more popular, isn't that going to be a problem?
It probably is. And for some of these things, I've had to get kind of creative about how to do this. So let's see. All the food. All refreshment. See, we got a creative group. And all the FOPO is apparently available. All right, that's available. All right. All the food. Door, oops, got to be together. Door prizes. That's good. To come. Available. Lazy as heck. Okay. Duh. Learn. That's available, and now this is we're gonna have to be creative. Let's see. I already did none of those. How about don't like those? Oh, available. Oops, cancel.
None at all.
None at all. Oh.
What about just none at all?
None. Oh, I think I had that sister in school. Okay. So that's how you reserve keywords, and you see the process. And sometimes you have to be a little bit creative because the keyword is already taken. Then, all right, so I can allow you to answer as many times as you like, or a number of times. Let's say for this one, I'm going to let you answer 3 times. We're not going to grade incoming responses. We want to see the things. Reply message. I can send you a message, and I can say something like, "Hi, this is Jeff. Glad you voted." Or whatever, you know, if I want the message to be. How people can respond. I can send text messages from the U.S. It also has international capability. A few weeks I'm going to be doing a version of this presentation, believe it or not, in London. So I can set it for London responses or Great Britain responses. You can do that. Web devices. So if you want people to be able to respond on their web device, you can check that or uncheck that. I always check tweets. You also get a private link. That's just to sort of experiment with it and see if it's looking the way you want. And who can respond? Excuse me? It doesn't have Facebook yet. Now, if they add, see, this is the great thing about not being locked into a system and using something that's web-based. If they add Facebook and the feature is added, boom, it's automatically there. Don't have to upgrade, it's already existed. So, most of my polls are for everybody because I like to do them in presentations where I don't know who's going to be there. But for a class, you can restrict it to only registered participants, in which case on the first day they tell you what their cell phone number is and what cell phone they're going to be using in class, and then you get a teaching assistant or some other person that you own to type all of those in, and it restricts the responses only to those cell phone numbers. The reason why anytime somebody writes in they, when I've got that choice, the why, and I get all those responses, is that poll is open to everyone.
If they use their laptop, you also need their cell phone?
No, you can also set that so it only registers that laptop. There's a way of doing that too.
Okay, and also the keywords, who sees those? Only you?
These keywords, well, as you saw on the survey, that's how they vote. So anyone you use the survey to is going to see that. If you leave this as everybody, if someone goes to poll everywhere and they want to see what it's like, you can see all the surveys that are open to everybody. So I get a lot of responses to my surveys between classes from people who are just playing. So,
And you just have to kind of...
then, well, all right. Oh, that's a good question. Let's go back to another survey that we've already done. All right, this survey is... All right, if you get all those false answers, what do? All right, so here's, suppose I'm going to do the abortion question issue, and look, I've got all this stuff that anonymous people put in. All right, you just clear the results. Do you want to do this? Yes, and set them back to 0. And I usually do that before every presentation or every class because I want it to be a clean slate before we start. This morning, when I set this up, I cleared all the polls.
Then one of the keywords I don't think makes sense, but all of the above is I like all of them. I don't know what the equivalent is.
For the
Any of them, I like all of them.
right, and so the danger of that is if somebody is just playing around and they and they just type in the word "don't like those," it's going to show up on my survey because I reserve that word, and that's why it's the likelihood that that's actually going to happen during the hour when you're doing it with the class very remote. The likelihood that at least one of those things is going to happen between the times you use different surveys, not all that small, and that's why it's good to clear it out every time.
But that means that you could actually like have concurrent classes.
Absolutely.
Maybe classes competing against others.
Absolutely, and there's a way that you can set it up so you can actually save the two classes separately. You can merge their data. You can keep it separate. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, easy. All I do is if I don't want to use the survey anymore, I just see where that X is, pull it out. And it goes back to being in the open pool.
Well, what I mentioned was all of the above shouldn't be don't like those. It should be
Well, sure. All right. That's fine. Right. The keyword. Oh, I see. I see. That's because I was typing and not thinking. All right, that's available. What I thought you were saying is it seems a little bit of a disconnect to have the choice all of the above and to have to type in I like those. You can actually change it and say I like those answers or whatever you want to do for that. Okay, so let's see. What other features haven't we looked at yet? Settings.
How does it go into a grade book or Canon right now within Blackboard or any of the other elements?
Say that again?
Will it interface with any kind of LMS?
Yeah, can you download it into Excel?
Yeah, right. Okay. Let me see how to do that. I've never done that, but I saw under the features that you can. So let me see. Survey I did some time ago. All right, where is that going to be? Oh, summary table. All right, so there's that, and get this via text. There is a way that you can download this information and put it into a table. I've just actually never done that. So the history might tell you that. Yeah, response. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't even see that before. Share under summary table. Oh, share and publish. Ah, maybe that's where it is. Download for Prezi, email, blogger, webpage, tweet. Oh, there you can. I can share the results on Facebook. Go that way. All right. So lots of yes, please.
And also, if you, let's say that you're using it for a quiz or a short exam or whatever, multiple choice or whatever kind, when you get the responses all at the end, do you get them tallied or?
Yes, you get them tallied, and when you set it up to grade, they're graded.
Yeah,
Right.
like X student, this was the percentage of answers that were correct.
Right. And for that, if you're going to actually use it for attendance or grading, you have to use the restricted audience thing, because otherwise you wouldn't know who's responding to what. So you have to set that up at the beginning of the semester or whenever you're going to use it, and then it becomes useful as quizzes. Okay? All right, so we've got like 3 minutes left. Any last question? I was going to say, now pull out your laptops and set one up, but I see there's like 3 laptops in the room. So win a laptop and then go set it up. You can segment into a table so that in segmented responses, and I may be able to find that. Let's see. The one that we segmented is, let's see, the satisfaction thing. If you see it, just tell me that I'm looking at it. How would you rate your current satisfaction? All right. Oh, I see. I have to have a plug-in that I don't have on this laptop. But yeah, you can actually get a chart and then download the information, and it's segmented in the same way that Excel segments data. Well, thank you very much for your kind attendance this morning. Sorry I couldn't answer all your questions, but I hope you find this is about as neat as I do. I use this a lot now. People accuse me actually of using it too much, but it's just fun. It's become my latest personal project, and I think you'll find it useful too. And I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you.